I have to admit something, I really liked making the last week's video. Getting it set up had me pausing several times at the sheer volume of silliness I was able to cram into the subject of April Fool's Day, the day celebrating the lunacy of us all. But this week it's going to be only a little more serious, because out there are actual laws that are still on the books that make no sense at all. Why are these laws even considered? What was the motivation behind the creation of these laws? And most importantly, why are they still there? This isn't political, not at all. So it's going to be something else. I'm actually going to try and answer the questions. So grab yourself a drink and a chili straw, sit back, relax, and let's get started. While there are many laws regarding the ownership of pets, like making sure cats are up on their shots and dogs are always licensed, this particular issue seems to be a little on the silly side. Admittedly, Michigan is in the north-ish part of the United States, meaning it would seem to counteract the law, which states that it's illegal to chain an alligator to a fire hydrant. Now let's get something clear. There are a few people in recorded history that kept alligators as pets. A few, not a lot. These critters are not known as the type that are easily domesticated, and it's far more likely the owners of these pets would get something like an arm ripped off rather than the owner of, say, a dog. Plus, they're reptiles. As such, they're cold-blooded and need to be kept warm, usually in water. So what prompted the creation of this bit of silliness? I mean, it's not likely the owner of said gator would be so careless, nor is it likely a gator who's caught would be chained up in such a way. Otherwise, it would make perfect sense. It's nonsense. Fair warning, I did say it's a silly law. It's a fairly common urge most people have when they've drunk enough water, the urge to pee. It's the way the human body has to excrete the excess water and other things from the body. It's a given fact also that sometimes you won't have a bathroom handy to relieve yourself in. That's why there are many that will urinate along the sides of the road, at a tree, sometimes even at a building. But in Champagne, France, there's a rather strange regulation that it's illegal to pee in your neighbor's mouth. Okay, I know there's strange fetishes out there, fetishes that people have in regard to other people's feet, a fetish about roosters and chickens, and even a fetish for small animals. I'm not here to judge on that. These people are welcome to that. But what kind of a person would think it would be okay to pee in someone else's mouth? What kind of a person would want to drink said pee? We do live in a pretty bonkers world, so I guess there'll have to be at least two people who would do such a thing. It's a relative fact that the idea of creating explosives isn't a good thing if it's not used to demolish old buildings or to clear away land for construction purposes. There are many laws in regards to making and detonating such deadly devices. However, one has to wonder about certain extents of said laws. For example, in Chico, California, you'll have to pay a $500 fine if you detonate a nuclear device from inside the city. I will admit, when I first found the law, my thought was, what city? It seemed that the law doesn't have anything to do with the mass extinction of the whole of Chico, California, nor does it say anything about the hundreds of people killed in said explosion. It also would appear to suggest nothing about nuclear fallout or radiation from such an explosion. I will admit this is probably just another law section altogether, but would the threat of a $500 fine really be enough to stop someone determined enough to use a nuclear device in the city? There's nothing quite as relaxing as sitting in nature with a pole and a hook and experiencing the joy and serenity of fishing. Perhaps one of the older professions, it would seem that many would eat the fish caught by the people who would go and catch them. Sometimes it's even those that would catch them. People can sit on the ground for this, or they can sit on a fold-out chair or on the back of a truck or even a stand. There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing at all. But in Chicago, a regulation prohibits you from fishing while on the neck of a giraffe. I mean, how widespread a problem would this be? What kind of logic is there behind this? Who would even be able to do this? Zookeepers probably, but it would seem so irrational that even considering this as a viable law. Perhaps the reason it's still on the book is because the people that passed it never imagined anyone would take it seriously, and nobody could actually imagine it happening enough to bother to cancel it. As part of the reason many of the laws are still here. It's a given fact that over time, almost every light bulb will burn out. It's the simple nature of the beast, except for one specific light bulb in a certain fire department, but this isn't about that. It's also a given that you might need to call an electrician to repair faulty wiring and fix outlets and light switches, or even to get it working full on if you're remodeling. But in Victoria, Australia, the simple act of unscrewing the burned out light bulb and screwing in a new one is illegal by anyone other than a qualified electrician. I mean, it doesn't take a lot of genius to do this. It's not like the idea is anything that you need to have a PhD in. Hell, even kids can do this task. So what's the reasoning behind this? Are electrical issues non-existent in Victoria? So much so that this is an essential need? A movie springs to mind, Hot Shots, where it's seen an electrician get all set, holding heavy wires over each shoulder as he ascends a step ladder to change a bulb. Is that what gave them the idea in the first place? Okay, so this one actually makes no sense at all, much like another law I found, so I'll just combine the two and try and find an actual reason for them. I'll try. In England, in the Parliamentary House of Commons, it's illegal for anyone to die in there. Almost along the same lines, it's illegal in China for a Tibetan monk to reincarnate without informing the government. I mean, how are these laws enforced? How could you be able to stop the final breath long enough to ensure that you're not in the House of Commons? How could you be able to have, say, a horse who used to be a Tibetan monk fined for not letting the government know? I mean, there's ridiculous and then there's ludicrous. Then we get to the sense of just plain nonsense. It's a common enough belief that when at home, you're supposed to be safe. You're supposed to be able to do whatever you want, but if someone is looking in the window, it's a given they might just be a pervert who's enjoying the show. In many places, a pervert is the one who commits a crime with violating a person's privacy, but in Singapore, it's illegal for the person in the home to be naked without closing the blinds. Now, there might be a bit of reasoning behind this. I know there are people who would think it okay to let others see their naked bodies. By and large, the naked body is something many find a beautiful thing, but many would also find it a little offensive. But it may very well be trying to prevent these people from doing a free-for-all display in their birthday shoot. But there are also many other ways that people can do this if they want. So there are many laws in regards to crime. That's the reason crime is illegal. But there are also many things that elevate these crimes to a new level. It makes sense that committing a felony with a loaded weapon would be far higher on the list than just committing the felony itself. It also makes sense that these same crimes would be elevated to the next level if a person is injured or even killed. So why is it that Texas holds a unique law saying it's also illegal to not give 24-hour notice to the police that you're going to commit said crime? This is honestly a law on the books. I mean, there's not much that can be done despite adding additional fines if this happens, but why would this really be on the books? I could go on with more bits of silly laws. There's a law in Ohio where it's illegal to get a fish drunk, one in Turkey where it's against the law for someone over 80 to be a pilot, and in France, you can't name a pig Napoleon. Also, in Ohio, in a bizarre twist, a woman can't undress in front of a picture of a man. Baltimore, Maryland says you can't take a lion to the movies. There are those laws and many, many more on the books from around the world that might have made some sense when they were passed, but don't really make any sense at all. Why they're on the books is most likely because they're so ridiculous it would make actually committing the said crime to be an act of sheer insanity rather than the working of a clever mind, or the law is so unusual because it's not likely to ever happen. Still, with the right of silly laws, perhaps it's as well we keep them as a way to not take ourselves too seriously. Maybe they're a reminder that it's okay to let a little lunacy out once in a while, or else we'll go nuts from the denial of fun. So that's it. As you can see with this after screen, I've not only put links and subscriptions up, I've also put my social media information. If you want to contact me there, give me any ideas, maybe even corrections in them, I'd be willing to listen. Also, don't forget to hit the thumbs up, make a comment, and subscribe to the channel. And we'll see y'all next time.